Dayna Martin has been inspiring others for over a decade by sharing her experience through natural birth, attachment parenting, and unschooling. She is an activist, educator, and author of Radical Unschooling, A Revolution Has Begun, and her newest book, Sexy Birth. Dayna has proudly advocated for radical unschooling through the media for the last 8 years. This has allowed thousands of other parents to learn about unschooling and to proudly live their lives without fear. The movement of unschooling is growing tremendously thanks to her bravery and unrelenting drive to share unschooling with the world. Her choice to live out loud is one with powerful inspiration that is changing the world and offering more respect, peace, and freedom to families worldwide. Dayna has been featured on Dr. Phil, CNN, Nightline, Australia's most popular news program Morning Sunrise, The Jeff Probst Show, ABC's hit show Wife Swap, Fox News, 60 Minutes Australia, and The Bethany Show. She was used as an informal resource for unschooling stories on the Discovery Channel, The Today Show, and Our America on the OWN Network, and was even filmed for 12 hours for The Oprah Winfrey Show. She travels the world as the unnanny and is a featured speaker at the major parenting and education conferences worldwide. Dayna recorded and uploaded the first video ever about unschooling for YouTube. Dayna and her family's blog series on the YouTube channel, The Sparkling Martins, is now part of the Maker Network. They were invited to be among some of the biggest maker names on YouTube. You can check out their channel and learn about radical unschooling while learning more about Dayna's family and their everyday life. You can find out how to subscribe to the Sparkling Martins channel and more at pranaboost.com/podcasts. We were also lucky to have Amy Lee33 with us on this interview, and in November of 2014, the Martin family grew by one. They unofficially adopted Amy Lee into their family and look forward to an amazing future together, traveling the world, making videos, and advocating for peace, love, and freedom. Amy Lee33 is a beautiful Prana Booster as well as a YouTube superstar for her daily Minecraft videos. Today's featured guest, Prana Booster, is Dayna Martin. And Amy Lee, I guess I should add, I'm sorry, I don't know, is that like your middle name or your last name or?
It's my middle name.
That's your middle name, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Well, it's so nice to have you guys. I'm so grateful that you can be here with us and share some, time and space with me. I have your book here, Radical Unschooling, A Revolution Has Begun. It's so meaningful to me, this book, because you pretty much put into words how we live. And I didn't know that anyone else lived like that. It's sort of hush-hush. And we don't really label ourselves. We haven't really called ourselves unschoolers. We just tell people that, that we homeschool, and we don't really tell them anything, actually. But they are little by little finding out now that the kids are older that we don't follow any type of curriculum and that the world is our educational classroom, just like you guys were saying. But I want to read this to you because this is actually how I felt. I was actually in tears when I was reading the introduction to your book. It just touched my heart so much because I have often felt so alone and sometimes very scared on this journey. My mom is a teacher and my aunt is a teacher, and pretty much nobody has understood our path. Nobody in our extended family. I mean, the four of us, are grateful for it and understand it and are happy with it. But sharing the words that you did to describe this life, this pioneering lifestyle, made me feel like, oh my God, I didn't make a mistake. Because everyone always asks me, like, what if you're making a mistake? What if you're doing it all wrong? And then I'm like, no, I'm not. And then I think to myself, what if I am? But we are completely raising our kids in a house without, an authoritarian family in what you call a partnership paradigm. They've never been in school. They've never been punished. And I don't think people really even understand that it's an option not to send their kids to school, kind of like that kid said in Wife Swap. He's like, I didn't even know you could do that. Right. Or to never punish them. And I lead workshops and I teach others. And when they ask me what I do to punish my kids and all they focus on is behavior, I just couldn't believe how aligned that was in your book. So I wanted to thank you for that, first off.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad it helped you.
Yeah.
Helped you feel not alone, because this can be a really isolating lifestyle. There's times where I feel really alone. We live in New Hampshire in the middle of nowhere, really, and there's no other unschoolers within probably 2 or 3 hours of us. So it can be really lonely because there's a lot of homeschoolers. I think homeschooling is becoming a lot more mainstream, which is wonderful, but there's not many unschoolers. So we're kind of in like a sub-category, and it can be lonely.
And what's interesting is that I sort of always kind of walk around feeling like I'm just going to, did you ever see Tangled? How there's the posters of him, the wanted posters, I feel like I'm going to see my picture on like a poster that I'm like wanted or something because my kids start to confess. They tell people what time they go to bed. They tell people what time they wake up. And, I'm like, I don't know, maybe we should keep it on the down low. Like maybe they don't have to know everything about what we do because it's so different. In fact, right now as we speak, my kids are actually in the other room and they're playing Minecraft with their little best friend who lives in Chicago. So they're on FaceTime on the iPad or the iPhone. They're playing Minecraft, and that's something that we don't really limit either. I mean, we see how much they get out of it and they enjoy it, and when they have time to do that, they love it. But he actually is in school, so it's a bit of a different scenario, but when he's available to play, they have the best time playing video games and learning and having fun. And
that's so great. Well, you knew about Amy and her Minecraft experience. Do you know who Amy is in the Minecraft world?
I don't. I don't. I mean, I know what they tell me. My kids could talk for hours about Minecraft, but I don't really, play it with them. But I watch them and I see what they do and what they build. And they're doing something now, Amy, called Mindplex.
Yeah.
We're paying like monthly for them to be able to be in there together because he's in Chicago.
Yeah, that's cool.
So are you some sort of like Minecraft celebrity that I should introduce them to?
Yeah, it's hard for her to probably say it herself, but she is a huge Minecraft celebrity. She has, if you asked your kids if they knew who she was, they probably would. She makes Minecraft videos. I think you're the third most renowned YouTuber, female YouTuber in Europe.
Really?
Yeah, and it's really interesting how Amy and I met. So for the viewers that are sitting here looking at both of us and wondering who the heck we are, my name's Dayna Martin. I'm an author and unschooling advocate, and I was on the Wife Swap show 2 years ago. Yeah. Or was it last year? 2 years ago? Uh-huh. It was in 2012, and Amy saw the show. We didn't know each other before that, so she saw the episode, and I'll let you tell the rest of the story if you want.
It was awesome. I saw Dayna, and it was just like my mind had been I don't know, just something clicked, like the way of living, like unschooling and stuff, and I really totally knew that that's where I should be. And then we connected and became, literally she is my sister now. It's amazing.
Yeah, it was Minecraft was something that I didn't know she was into at first, and then she sent me a message. We just were getting to know each other through messages, and she said she was who she was, and I asked my son, and his mouth dropped. He was like, who? And he knew who she was, and you were so humble about it all, and because we love Minecraft, it's definitely a huge tool for learning. Mm-hmm. So we just had this connection that we didn't expect, and we became like family. And I flew over to England and met her. My mother lives there, so my family flew over and we met Amy, and it was like instant family. And she said she always wanted to come to America. Although she had a really extreme phobia of flying.
That's actually one of my questions. Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to tell you that I watched that. I watched that video of you going to get her and bringing her over, and picking her up and literally supporting her during that fear. And I have to tell you, I kind of have similar flying issues and feelings towards flying. And I was thinking to myself, I can't imagine just watching you have that type of compassion for her, and rather than talk her out of it and convince her of all the safety and all the reasons why she shouldn't feel that way and sort of shame her, you literally just held her through it. You just guided her to be able to face it. And yeah, that was amazing. In fact, I wrote here, I said, I may need you on my first international flight if you're available for
well, I owe it to being a doula and a childbirth educator.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for about 14 years now, and being a doula, you don't try to control the experience. You just embrace where the woman is and keep reminding her that she's safe. and that she can be whoever she needs to be as loud as she wants. She can cry, she can scream. It's all okay. It's all okay. So I think really that is the secret to many fears. And for flying, Amy just needed to be respected where she was, and I didn't need to control it. But I think a lot of people think helping somebody is to control the situation and try to talk them out of it or try to distract them. But when it's a fear that huge, you can't.
It was huge. Like 10 years I've been like putting off that flight.
Oh,
and I was
you
like,
did it. How do you
everything.
feel that you did it? I know I had a doula actually with my first daughter. I actually had nobody. They were like, "You're having a donut?" I'm like, "No, a doula." Nobody, I mean, this was, 10 and a half years ago, and nobody knew why I had this woman in the room, this stranger. But I can so appreciate what you do. But I think we do that, doula, we sort of do that with our kids. What I'm realizing is that I parent in a very similar way to you, is that we learn not to talk people out of their emotions, that we have to allow them to have it, even their negative emotions, their sadness or their anger. Or I can't imagine how you must feel. How do you feel now that you took that flight?
Crazy. Like, it still like hadn't sunk in like that I'm here, because I've been wanting to do this like my whole life, and I like canceled 3 flights before to New York because I just couldn't get on the plane, and Dayna was like the only person in the whole world I would trust enough, and I'm here.
It's crazy. The Wife Swap show, it was a big family decision when we were contacted. We've done a lot of TV. We've been on Dr. Phil and Nightline, 60 Minutes. We've been doing TV for about 10 years, different media spots. And when we got contacted by Wife Swap, we knew it was a little different. It was a big deal. It was weeks of work, and we wanted to make sure all the kids were on board, and they were. And one thing I've said in past interviews recently is that the greatest thing that came out of that was meeting Amy, because if we never did the show, she would have never contacted me. And she's such a big part of our family. She's now one of the Sparkling Martins, and we've had the Sparkling Martins blog for 10 years. And it's so great that our family's grown. I have a sister now, and
it's beautiful. Awesome. It's amazing, and I that's what I love about the media and the internet and everything that's available now to us, that allows us to reach out and find soul families from all around the world. But that's divine, right? That's how that worked out for you guys.
Totally. Yeah, it's great when you can make your own family. You can create anything.
Yeah.
And family was something so amazing that we have created, and everything has, and ever since we came together and we've both gotten in alignment with what felt best, and we're trying to push away or let go of negative relationships. So ever since we came to this space, it's been like a cosmic explosion. So many things have unfolded for us. It was like these two strong forces came together, and things are just moving really quick in a good way, advocacy-wise, but
it's like with the kids too, like Dayna's kids have become like my little brothers and sisters. Like the whole thing just feels so normal.
Do you mind if I ask how old are you? Amy?
I don't answer that.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah. She has a pretty big fan base.
Oh, okay.
And so that's one thing that she wants to keep to herself.
Oh, okay.
But she's younger than me. I'm 41, and she's younger way younger than me. So
I'm actually about to be 41. I'll be 41 in January.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, happy birthday!
Thank you. So we're similar ages. So I was wondering just to get your take on it for this interview, if you can give us a bit of an introduction to how you describe radical unschooling and what it means to you. I love how you say that it's personalized education, and we completely agree with that. So if we had to pick a category, I would put us probably, this would probably be the closest thing to what we do. But I would love to hear that.
Sure. Well, radical unschooling is similar to unschooling. Unschooling alone is not doing school at home. Radical unschooling is not doing school at home, but you're also parenting in partnership. Most people that homeschool, they buy a curriculum and they do what schools do at home. Their kids are forced to kind of jump through the same hoops that school kids are. And unschooling is living life as though school doesn't exist. Now, this doesn't mean education is not important to unschoolers, because it is, but it doesn't come before the solid foundation of family and connection and pursuing your passions. So unschooling is life without school, using the world as your classroom. Radical unschooling is extending that same trust you have for education into other areas of kids' lives, like media, bedtimes, foods. For example, we don't live by rules in our house, we live by principles. So that's one aspect of the philosophy. And to me, it really is just a evolution of human consciousness and evolution of human rights. That's a big part of it for me. Children's rights are very important to me, and when people start learning about this philosophical perspective, it's like, you know, a light switch turns on for them, and they understand it in a way that that changes their lives and their views of their own childhood, of the past, of their parenting role. So I'm happy to break it down some more if you have specific questions.
No, I think the thing is that, you know, it's sort of like trying to figure out where people can go deep inside of them to have the courage to do this. Because, you know, my husband described it once as, it sort of feels like we were on this train and we were moving along with everyone else, and then we like opened the doors and jumped off. And we did, like, rolled down the hills, you know, and then we got there and we're like, oh my God, there's, like, nobody here doing this, you know? There's, like, what do I do? How do I do this? This is so, you know, new and different for our family. And I think it's so innovative. And, you know, conscious parenting and that type of radical parenting has been really close to my heart, too. That's what I do on my, with my workshops. And I'm doing a lot of writing about that, too. Because I can't really figure out how people can have these little tiny babies and then punish them, and instead of teaching them, you know. So I remember there's something, maybe you might have heard it before, in Abraham Hicks, where Esther's talking about, you know, a child learning to walk, right? And they're crawling and they're starting to learn to walk and they stumble. And she said, if they fall, you don't typically say to them, get up, you little dummy. I can't believe you. You're not walking. You don't know how to walk. Right?
Right.
Like, it's amazing to me to find out. And everywhere I go, every single thing. In fact, I was invited to be a part of an audience on Oprah back in May in Oprah's life class. And every single person in the audience was focused on behavior. How do they get their kids to comply and be obedient and behave in a proper way? And it's funny, actually. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to look at my notes. But I actually wrote something about that. There's something, because for us... Oh, okay, here. I said, here you talk about behavior as being a main focus of mainstream parents. And it's interesting, like, when we're out, we always hear these words. Like, people say, Ma, your girls are so well behaved. And I want to jump up and down and react, but I typically just nod, you know, and say thank you. But what I really want to say to them, you know, is that they're not well behaved. They're well connected. They're well loved. Their energy is aligned from being, like, loved and respected and heard and listened to. And by the time, you know, we actually get to a place that they see us out in public, we've already all agreed to be there, and we're honoring everybody by being there, and we've chosen it together. So there's really no reason for anyone to be upset or be crazy, right? But people they don't see all the work that goes into it. They're just seeing the final result, which is the one that they're most interested in.
Right, exactly. I think that traditionally people value behavior above anything else, above children's needs, above happiness. Excuse me, a positive side effect of living this life is that a child's behavior, which I hate using that term, but just for clarity's sake, their behavior is really positive and cooperative and connected because they're respected. Children only misbehave when their needs aren't met, and a parent's trying to focus on their own needs above theirs. So it really is just a level of respect that most people don't understand.
Right.
So, yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, I agree. And I love this. This is actually on page 13 in your book. I love when you say, we live our lives together. Our closeness as a family and our personal freedom are our highest priorities. Nothing comes before that. And that's pretty much our family mantra, too. And I just think it would make such a difference in the world if people even had a family mantra, let alone something like that would be so focused and sort of I don't know what somebody might want to call it, a mission statement for their family. But an actual, like, intentional, you know, vision for what their family could look like.
Definitely.
So if you're a childbirth educator, I talk about these in my workshops, but I always say, you know, I had my childbirth classes, and they didn't teach me anything about being a parent. They taught me how to care for an infant and do a diaper, but they didn't teach me, you know, they didn't educate me on any type of emotional feelings that might come up or how to handle anything as a parent. You know, so what are they really, like, preparing us for?
Right. I think just the physical aspects of controlling children to meet our needs. Actually, it sounds really crazy when you hear it like that, but anything I ever learned, you know, my first childbirth class when I was pregnant with my 15-year-old was all about control. And the medical management of birth is really focused on controlling the outcome and the experience. But when you educate people about natural birth, it really is the same education as explaining this type of parenting to them, because you just trust the child. You trust your body, you trust the child, and you let go and you go with the flow and you stop resisting. And I think it's really, really similar. In fact, I think I drive Amy and the family crazy. They joke around with me because I always compare everything to a birth analogy.
Labor.
Like everything's like a labor analogy.
Everything is like labor. So funny.
So to me, everything is. I mean, letting go of when you resist something, it hurts. It causes dysfunction. When you embrace somebody else's needs, it really becomes much more positive. So
yeah, it's so funny that you're saying that, because I had to I wrote all these notes. I'm sorry. There was so much I wanted to talk about with you guys. I wanted to kind of organize a little bit so that I knew what I was going to talk, and I wanted to let it flow. But it's funny that you said that, because the section that you wrote on page 132 about raising our vibes, that's huge in our house. I talk about that all the time, and that's the main core of my company, Prana Boost, is raising our vibration. But it's funny because you said, my calling is to help shift awareness about the rights and respect about the rights and respect that children deserve. And it's interesting because that's everything that Prana Boost represents. And I often compare raising our vibration to childbirth, because I tell everybody that I teach and my family, I always say it's like giving birth. You have to do it yourself. Even if you have a doula, and even if you have your husband or spouse or partner next to you, you still have to do it yourself. No one can do it for you.
Right.
So and I love that you use that analogy.
Yeah, everything's a birth analogy to me.
We're birthing this interview.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a great experience. When I gave birth for the first time, it changed me. Having a natural birth brought me to a level of trust of my body and trust of my child that I didn't know existed. I found self-love through trusting the process, and it's just continued from there. I remember feeling so alone when I came home from the hospital, and my mother-in-law came over and told me to put Devin down, that I was holding him too much, that he was going to learn to manipulate me. And I remember she left, and I put him in this little bassinet on the other side of the living room, and he sat there looking out of the bars, and I sat there on the couch looking at him like, this is the craziest thing I've ever felt in my life. Why am I supposed to be resisting this love that we both want? And he started whimpering, and I went over and picked him up, and I held him, and I looked in his little eyes and said, I will never, ever do that again, just for the sake of trying to make you not dependent on me, or whatever she was saying. And from that moment on, I only had to feel that once. And I said, this isn't right. So I started walking my own path, and it was really lonely, but thank goodness the internet was, oh my gosh, I'm like so old. The internet was just getting big. I think we had the internet like the year before. Like I had Devin, thank goodness. And I found other people. And I found Mothering Magazine, which was a huge resource. I found Jan Hunt's Natural Child Project, and it validated all of my feelings. None of our kids have ever slept in a crib. We've always co-slept and always had the family bed, safely, of course, when they were infants and so forth. I've breastfed them all until they outgrew the need. And I have no regrets because I listened to my heart. So, yeah, it was the beginning of everything. And everything we're doing with unschooling and parenting is really just an extension of what we were doing when they were babies, really. Trusting.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's hard to do, and I remember having so many. So I don't really have regrets, I guess I wouldn't say, but I do regret that I didn't enjoy a lot of these decisions more without the guilt, because I just didn't. I knew that in my heart, see, it was so wonderful that you had that, because you have that inner guidance. You have that voice that says, this is crazy. I'm going to pick up my child who's crying, and these people don't know what I know, and they don't know what I feel. It's awesome that you felt that, because that was the start of following your intuition and following the needs of your children, whatever they needed. I remember when one of my daughters was little and she was crying, and somebody told me, can't you just shut the stroller? Like, just cover them? And I'm like, they're not a bird, first of all. And I'm like, second of all, I'm not even sure that I like you a lot, but I wouldn't even do that to you. If you were crying, I would comfort you and hug you and hold you. But yeah, I don't understand where it comes from, but I think it's just so wonderful to know that you're out there and that we're being advocates for this, because I think that people need the support. They really need it. They just don't understand that they can follow their hearts, listen to the needs of their family. And, we co-sleep too, and we do all that stuff. And I ignored everybody, and I did it, and I'm so grateful that I did, but I did sometimes feel guilty and feel bad about it, because I was just unsure, you know, but see, a book like yours comes out, and then I'm like, oh my God, thank God, like I've been, you know, somebody else is doing it too, and it's working out well.
Oh, well, I'm so glad it helped you. I'm hoping it helps many more people. I've sold a lot of copies of the book. I think the titles kind of raises people's eyebrows a little bit, like, wow, what is this all about? And when they read it, they realize very oftentimes that they were right when they were little. And what I mean by that is, I think we all felt injustice being parented in an authoritarian paradigm. And without blame of the generations before us, and just opening your heart to understanding that everybody just did what they knew at the time, and everyone did the best they could, you can still get to a point of releasing that all that pent-up energy of injustice, because it's not fair to be parented in a way where the parents' needs come before all else. And then we wonder why our culture is so narcissistic. Nobody could figure it out. But that really is the answer, is when you're raising children only to meet your needs, they learn that's how life is. You force and control everyone around you, under you, to meet your needs, and you never learn how to do it yourself. And this cycle continues and continues. So this way, what we're doing is we're focusing on the kids' needs as much as the adults in the family. Everybody's needs matter equally, everybody's. Even when Amy, moved in, that's hers included. And sometimes it takes a long time to come to win-win situations, compromises, or ways to meet everyone's need, but we take the time to do it. And what that models for our kids, that everybody's needs matter. Everybody's on this earth. To me, it's living in a level of peace and understanding that very few people know how to teach children about. You just have to live it. You can't just talk about it. You need to live it, and that's how kids learn. So I'm really, really grateful to be a voice in this time and place, because I get so much out of it. It's really, really rewarding. So thanks for having us on.
Yeah, I am so grateful that you were willing to come on, because honestly, to share that message is so important to me. I don't understand why people would really consider it radical, and if they do, I think that I don't really see the success rate of the other ways. Everybody has all these other versions that they're living, and we're not really seeing success in families and marriages, and as these kids progress and grow, get older. And so I would imagine that people would start to become more open. And I think they are. I think people are starting to, I have people asking me everywhere, like, what do you mean your kids don't go to school? And what do you mean they can read? And how do they do this? And how do they do that? And so people are interested. They just don't get it. It's just so, But I always say the same thing about previous generations and everything, to give them compassion, because they didn't have Oprah. They didn't have Google. They didn't have the internet. We do have a responsibility, I think, because we do have information now, and we can't really say what they might have said in the past. We have the information, and it's our job to step up and sort of do our homework.
Definitely, yeah. And I really think that the generations before us really lost trust within themselves through being parented in the authoritarian dynamic, and nobody ever trusts you as a child in that paradigm generally, so you learn to really distrust yourself. So then when you have your own kids, you trust somebody else's experience more than your own heart. And so that's why it just keeps getting repeated. When somebody allows their instinct to really grow and they listen to it, that's what can change the world, is tuning into your own heart's message.
Yes, I totally agree. Let me find out where I was. Oh, I wanted to talk to you guys about, so the number one question that everybody asks, right, is about socialization. And I thought it was so interesting when you were talking about that being, the most popular question for homeschoolers and for unschoolers. And I wanted to talk about what you brought up in the book about age segregation, which I have always said it's crazy, because when you get out into the workplace, the second you're out of school, you are no longer hanging out with people of the same age. When you're at work, or when you're, if you go to the hospital, there's people of all different ages working there, and look at you and Amy, right? So you guys are a perfect example of having a connection that's, even without knowing, you said she's much younger, without, you have this connection without being based on being the same age.
She's my best friend, and I could have given birth to her, put it that way. We joke around about that she was my
soul mother.
I'm her soul mother and soul sister. She's my soul daughter and soul sister. So, it's amazing. Age segregation is...
Age doesn't exist.
Right.
We've said that.
Definitely. And that is a huge thing to say, that's so important, because the only time age is an issue is in school, in the institution of schools. Other than that,
Like, you can have like an adult conversation, like with Ivy and Orion, Dana's youngest kids. Like, I could talk with them for hours, and it's great. Like, there's no difference in age. Age doesn't exist in this world.
No, and the reason that I asked you about it too is obvious that I saw that you were younger, and that's kind of I wanted to bring up the fact that, not to put you on the spot about your age, but I wanted to bring up the fact that you can befriend somebody who's not your age, and also the fact that you play Minecraft. You know, and that's, you know, that's sort of sometimes an age thing too, you know, where they say you're, you know, of a certain age, you should grow out of things or things like that. So age, yeah, I mean, age is a big thing in our house. And one of the things that we always tell our girls is that, like, if they were in school, I mean, they're the best of friends, and they're so close, and our kids are actually 2 years apart to the day. They have the same birthday.
Wow.
So they're soul sisters, and they're both May 6th. And one is 10 and a half and one is 8 and a half. And we always say if you guys went to school, you wouldn't be together. You would be in different classes. You know, and they're all like, no, like, we're never going, you know, because they love to be together, and they love to, you know, enjoy each other and learn from each other. And it's, all of these siblings typically get separated from each other the second they go to school. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, age segregation is an interesting thing. It really is a brainwashing, in a sense, of children to only stay with their age mates, which is very unnatural. So following the continuum of a natural mindset and natural parenting, age segregating is one of the most unnatural things to do to a child. It's really important to realize that humans make connections based on common interests and having the same passion for things. And when you condition a human being to only make it acceptable to be with someone your same age, you're limiting their social network, their social pool, so tiny that they can't even socialize or connect with adults. For example, a neighbor boy across the street, when he was really little, he used to come over and we'd chat and so forth, and then after years in school, he would come over and he stopped looking me in the eye, he stopped initiating conversation. He learned that the adults in his life were the authority and they had no interest in hearing what he had to say. I could see the conditioning that this boy was getting week after week, and to the point where he wouldn't even acknowledge that I was there. You know?
Kids get bullied in school. Like, if you're older and you're friends with someone, like, in a younger year and stuff, like, younger grade, like, it's not okay. Like, kids will, like, pick on you for that.
Definitely.
Yeah, yep. It's not natural. It's ridiculous. And it's very sad, and I think that without this knowledge out there, you know, it just has to get out even more. You know, I remember my kids, you know, sometimes when they would interact with other kids or kids that go to school, they would experience that same harshness because they would say, like, oh, well, we don't want your little sister there, or, you know, or they would say, you can't like that show or that character or something, you're too old for that, you've grown out of that, or you can't watch that TV show, that's for kids, that's for babies, that's, you know. So in our house, the biggest thing that we go by is feelings. I remember a part in your book that you were writing, checking in with yourself, judging for yourself. On page 46, you mentioned Mother Teresa and her famous quote, "If you ever have an anti-war rally, do not invite me, but if you have a march for peace, I will be there." And I wanted to bring that up because it kind of goes into the feeling thing of not being anti-anything. I like how you described that, what it kind of did for you and how you felt, and you noticed the emotions. And everything in our house is based on emotion. Everything in our house is based on how do you feel? And then it's not judged as good versus bad. It's how do you feel and what do you prefer? You know, so like if we take them to the grocery store and somebody offers them, you know, I don't know, they always talk to my kids because they have red hair, so they always reach out and they, you know, say things to them, and they say like, oh, do you want this or that? And I taught them to say that I modeled it, because that's what I would say. I'm not a fan of that. Because I said you don't have to say something bad about something in order, you know, to say that you don't like it, because somebody right here does like it. And so we base everything based on feelings, so that internal feelings that you were talking about, and that's what we say. So how do you invite your family not to be anti-anything and sort of, you know, check in with themselves? And because do they interact with kids that do go to school?
A little bit. My daughter Tiffany, who's 13, has some friends that are in school. They're all really wish that they could live an unschooled life, radical unschooling specifically. But I think modeling it and talking about it, but then also me respecting when they do have a strong opinion about something, and they are anti something. There are times my daughter Tiffany's vegan by choice, so she is anti, you know, animal abuse and animal cruelty, and that's her thing. I think it's a part of a big process, though. I remember after I had Devin, I became a La Leche League leader, which is the breastfeeding like support person. And there were times where I'd be in the grocery store and I would see a mother feeding a baby a bottle, and I was in that space in my journey where I felt really bad for the baby, and I would be judgmental and say, oh, that poor baby has a bottle. And I went through an artificial milk, medical birth. That was part of my process to kind of push up against what I was against. And then in my own personal journey, I came to I had to feel what it felt like to be anti, and then shift to being more what I was for, not what I was against. It was important for me to feel that contrast and having both mindsets. So I don't want to rob my children of that experience, because that's truly how you learn that. So when they are in an anti-space, I allow that to happen and we talk about it. But I do also share that everyone's doing the best they can with what they know and assume positive intent and that kind of thing. So I think there is some value in the journey of being anti at first for some people, and then they shift. So,
well, there's that saying, like, don't bash what you hate, but promote what you love.
Yes. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's why I think I work so hard as far as, education-wise, as far as, well, I mean, I could say to you guys, I guess everybody will hear it, but I'm sort of anti-spanking and hitting and anti-violence. But instead of telling, people that they're wrong, I would rather show them another way.
Yeah, totally.
But in my heart, I'm, right, I understand what you're saying.
I mean, I think we all go through moments of being judgmental at times of things that we find abusive or wrong. And I think it's an inner kind of dialogue that we have. I wrote an article that you can find on my website called Love It Forward, and I talk about my journey with getting on an airplane, traveling from England back home with my family, and a mother sitting in the seat in front of me, and she was yelling at her daughter, and the daughter was standing on the seat looking back at us, smiling, and she was telling her daughter to sit down and squeezing her leg and being a little bit of physical in a way that like broke my heart. And I said to my husband, I said, I don't know if I can take seeing this woman doing this the whole flight. It's awful. And I sat in my judgment. And then something, I don't know why I did it, but something shifted inside of me, and I just like went and sat next to her, and I said, can I help you at all? And she just looked at me in the eyes, and she started sobbing and said, oh my goodness, I have been on airplanes for the last 40 hours. My husband's in a different country. I am so tired. I haven't slept in 2 days. And she looked at me and said, I'm normally not like this. I would never hurt my child. Or I wish I didn't have to do that. I just don't know what else to do. So I just share in the article of how I helped her, got her some tea, walked her baby and 2-year-old up and down the aisle so she could sleep. And she woke up and she was refreshed and happy. And that was a huge example for me of really trying not to get in that judgmental space when I was in public. But yeah, it was hard because you never know somebody else's journey. What you're witnessing might not be their best in that moment.
No, absolutely. That's what I call being a true Prana Booster. That's what I talk about, training people to be Prana Boosters out in the world who would do that, but who would look at something and offer help and offer assistance for emotional emergencies. That's what I teach. And I love that you said that. I love that story because I've done that too. I mean, where you really need to do that. And we have to judge ourselves when is a good time to mix in, because we wouldn't always want somebody to mix in or something like that, but if you're out in public, I think you're sort of, opening yourself up to somebody seeing how you act. But Disneyland or Legoland, I like to say any land that you go to, but oh my God, you will just see so many examples of, parents interacting in ways that, might be uncomfortable for yourselves and for the children. And we actually had an example when we went to Disneyland. I was in line with my youngest daughter, and the woman behind us actually attacked her daughter. I mean, she hit her and pulled her, and I knew I had to speak up. I knew I was placed there for a reason. Like, I could not just watch it and be silent. But instead of attacking her, which I wanted to do at first because I was very, emotionally moved, it was very traumatizing, I just turned around and looked at her and I said, wow, it looks like you're having a really hard day. And I said, but you know what? It's illegal what you're doing. Like, you wouldn't be able to hit me. You can't hit her. Is there something I can do to help you? But I don't think people react like that. Usually they just whisper, or they say things, or they, call people names or things like that. But the truth is that you didn't know that mom's story when you were just initially seeing her, right? And I think at the end of the day, everyone probably has a story of how they're acting like that. And they need new methods and tools and techniques of how to manage their own emotions.
Exactly. And one thing I share and love to help people understand in my work is that when you focus on the needs under the behavior, it changes so much. So in extending this philosophy that I have for parenting, over the years I've extended it in other areas of my life. It's kind of evolved and grown naturally to focusing on the needs under the behavior of family. Maybe it's your mother, maybe it's your mother-in-law, maybe it's people like on an airplane. When you let go of their behavior and judging that and you look under it, once I was able to do that and said, well, how can I help this mother? What's her need? And instead of stopping short at judging the behavior, I helped her. And that's what helps shift the world when you do that. So we're not always in that best of space ourselves. If we're tired or hungry as advocates, sometimes it's hard to come from that place with a full cup and help other people and focus on their needs. But whenever we can, it's definitely helpful. And I want to share that unschooling philosophy in itself is not just for kids. Unschooling philosophy is a life philosophy, radical unschooling philosophy. And I could easily say that I'm unschooling Amy. She's unschooling me. And what that means is we nurture each other's passions and we give each other tools to grow as people. And that's really all we're doing with our children too. So unschooling is not just a childhood philosophy. So I thought that was important to add.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I think you guys are so blessed that you found each other, that you can do that for each other, because I know there's a teacher, Krishnamurti, if you know that teacher, and his teachings, basically say, you're learning as long as you're alive. It never really ends. So, it doesn't end when we get out of school. I think that's why people feel so lost when they get out of school, because they're like, well, I've been told what to do for so many years and what to read and what to study. I don't even know what I'm myself interested in. And then they have to kind of unlearn everything that they've learned. And that's what I think we're doing, probably, you and I, as far as like generationally, is sort of dumping, and unlearning all these things that we grew up to believe that we just understand are not true and are not helpful, and trying to replace that, with new methods. But it's quite a process to let go of all that.
It is. And I think the hardest thing for a lot of parents is taking the responsibility to meet their own needs. When you're on an airplane, they always tell you that when the oxygen mask comes down, if it ever does, give it to yourself first before helping somebody else, your child. And the same is true for living this life. If I don't have a full cup, I really can't be at my best for my kids or my family at all. But it's hard to sit there and meet my own needs. I find it more difficult than meeting anybody else's needs. So for me, that's a journey. And so now I make sure I sit down, have a cup of tea, I flip through a magazine, I take that time to meditate or do whatever I'm going to do that day, and then I'm better able to be present.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I don't think we come from women that, have done that. I don't think that generationally that, our moms or our grandmas, they never did that. They weren't allowed to take time to themselves, and they were sort of the martyrs, which is like, you eat first, let me make sure you're warm, I said warm, even if I'm freezing, right? Yeah. Even if you're freezing or tired. And, yeah, it's very important. And I think we're teaching our kids that too. And I love what you talk about in the book, how honest you are, because we've had scenarios like that, where maybe I'm not at my best, or I'm not doing my best. And my kids will say to me oh, you're the one not being conscious. Or things like that, right? They throw all this stuff back at us. And, I do something when I work with people called Prana Boost prescriptions. And I prescribe prescriptions is sometimes meditation or, crystal healing and all sorts of stuff that I do metaphysical work, and even just listen to some music, do something. But I have all these things on my website that I list as Prana Boosts, and basically you have to boost yourself and you can't rely on someone else to do it. But they'll tell me Mom, here's your prescription. This is what you need to do. We can tell that you're on edge, and we can tell that you're tired, and we need you to go do this for us so that you can come back and be whole. And I think teaching, our kids this, we're teaching them these tools for life that they'll pass on, how to align their own energy.
Definitely. And I think that we come from generations of women where martyrdom was virtuous.
Yeah.
And it's not. And I think that's really important to kind of break that cycle and talk about that, because how are my children supposed to ever learn to meet their own needs if I don't do that for myself? But no one will be modeling it to them. They'll go through their life meeting everybody else's needs and looking at themselves last, and I don't want that. So I want my kids to see me love myself and take time for myself and always be learning and growing and trying new things and making new connections and expanding. If we're not expanding as humans, it hurts emotionally. We always need to be growing, and that's something really important. So martyrdom is not virtuous. You got to get that out of your head, anyone watching, and know that what is virtuous and what is the most amazing learning tool is for you to show your children how much you love yourself, so they learn self-love.
Absolutely. And I think us showing them our authentic selves allows them to know that they don't have to be perfect, that they can mess up. And I was trying really hard in the beginning. I was like, oh my God, I'm messing up. I yelled. I can't believe I did that. I know better. I'm writing about it. I'm reading and everything. And then I would say, well, it's really important for them to see me not be perfect, because that way they know that they can, not even make mistakes, I don't even call it that, but have growth and do things and change their minds and have emotions. I didn't realize the importance of that at first. I was kind of going the extreme route of trying to be perfect in that way. Then I realized how beneficial it was for them to see me, kind of fall apart. And then you see these people that you have taught self-love to and confidence take care of you is really kind of divine. Definitely.
And I think that's been the most interesting thing. Well, many things have been interesting since Amy moved in, but when she kind of reflects back to me, things that she finds like really great, and how when you say to me that you're such a great mother, it's so nice. Well, it's just so neat to hear your perception, because you were raised by somebody else, and then seeing the contrast. What do you think's been the weirdest thing, or maybe not weird? So.
It's not weird, but seeing like how much you.
Sorry, I'm so thirsty.
You knocked the dinosaur. Seeing how much like you respect your kids and how much they respect you, and there's no yelling, there's no authority. It's just love and respect, and coming from a different family, that just blew my mind. And it is like reparenting. Like, you're getting me there where I want to be.
That's so sweet. And that's another aspect of what I love, is that we can heal from an authoritarian dynamic, and you can reparent yourself, you can reparent others. I mean, helping Amy on this journey has been incredible and so rewarding. So the world is changing really fast, and we're on the leading edge of new thought. I love when Esther Hicks talks about that. Jerry and Esther Hicks' work, I've been into it for about 7 or 8 years, and when they get unschooling, well, she does. Rest in peace, Jerry. Esther, when I hear her talking about children, freedom in school, she gets this. So this is on a level, it's not just me in this philosophical perspective. There's so many people that understand this philosophy. Tony Robbins, I think Wayne Dyer does on many levels. Louise Hay, everybody gets it. And it's just a matter of finding somebody to translate it in such a way that people will get it. And I feel so grateful that I'm able to communicate that to people. Mm-hmm. It's really awesome. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You know what? It's really cool. I listen to Abraham Hicks probably daily, actually, for the last, probably 6 years. So I understand that impact, and it's sort of, it is a new world. It is a new world. And for Amy to be able to come into your house and be able to see the contrast from what she knows to what's possible is life-altering, right?
Yeah. I remember, when I was a kid, and I used to, I dreamed of this life, and I didn't know it was possible at all. And then, I met Dayna, and just, you're rewriting my childhood.
Oh.
I love that.
Oh.
It's very sweet, and I'm honored to be able to do that, really. And it feels so good to just help other people see that they weren't wrong those years. And I think the hardest process for a lot of people is letting go of the pain from the past, from the way they were raised. Oftentimes, authoritarian parenting can be viewed on many levels as abusive, and without pointing fingers or putting blame, I think it's really important to see that your heart was right all those years. So helping Amy rekindle what she knew all along, and saying, no, you were right back then when that felt wrong, and that you were right when, your heart hurt when you were treated bad. And so it's really, really awesome. So, you're a pioneer on the leading edge of new thought by being able to interview people who understand this life, and it's such an honor. When we have grandkids and great-grandkids, they're going to be looking back on this time in history in awe that children were spanked, that they were punished. It's going to be much like any of the human rights movements. It wasn't very long ago that men were told to beat their wives if dinner wasn't on the table on time. Even watching old Little House on the Prairie episodes, you can see how different the dynamic was.
Like slavery and stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's the same, same exact thing. And now it's just turned for children's rights. Men were told by their fathers and friends. Like, oh, you got to beat that woman, train her to obey you. A woman's meant to obey. It even says it still in wedding vows. And look at how far we've come. Women have fought for their rights, and men would be arrested if they treated women the way that they used to. Now, keep in mind, I know some cultures still do in some parts of the world, but in general, we're moving away from that. So to me, it's the same thing as that's happening with children right now. And it's a huge time in history where a lot of things are changing. So it's a big deal.
Thank you so much for what you said. I agree. I think it's the best time, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. No matter what, it's worth it. And I want to introduce you to my family, too. I have to yell for them or get them because they're on the computer. But I think it's a wonderful reflection of our work, too, because I know that you have been in a relationship for a very long time, right? Since high school?
I've been married since, it'll be 20 years this June that I've been married to Joe, who I met when I was 15.
Wow.
And he was 17. And so we never would have guessed that this would be our life path. It really unfolded organically. It's been awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, same for us. Did you hear me? How did you know to come in right now?
Because Santa's...
Oh, that was perfect timing. Wait, I'm just going to finish telling you one thing. Come in. I just wanted to tell you, see, I've been with my husband for 20 years. We've been married for 12. We've always worked together. So we're always together, like 24/7. And I think it shows in our relationships what this type of paradigm and what this type of lifestyle can be like. Because I mean, that's a long time to be with someone. We've both been with somebody for 20 years. That's a huge evolution. That's us growing up. I mean, I met him when I was 20, and he was 18. And it's then, that progressed into our families, into our lives. But for the past 15 years, my husband and I have been making video games, and working together. And so it's a very, interesting story that I think we get to share. And I'm so grateful to do that. But now I'm going to introduce you. Come in, babies. I'm going to introduce you to my little unschoolers. Baby, come here.
Hello.
Hi, sweetie.
How are you? This is Gabrielle, also known as Gabby. She's our 8.5-year-old. And then, hold on, let me move over out of the way. This is Isabella. She's my 10.5-year-old. She was, I don't want to call her my guinea pig, but sometimes I feel like she suffered a little more because I really started learning with her. She was my firstborn. But she's pretty amazing. And
Hi.
This is Amy, and this is Dayna. Remember I told you that's who we watched this morning, and then baby, you're gonna have to sneak in somehow. This is my husband, Alan.
Hello, guys.
Hi, Alan.
Hi,
How are
nice
you?
meeting you. I love what you're doing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure to meet you guys.
Thank you. Very nice meeting you.
I told them they have to all come say hi. Sometimes they want to be on, sometimes they don't. But listen, Amy is really big in Minecraft.
Did you guys watch Minecraft videos at all?
Wait, they were about to leave. They just came back.
Do you guys watch? Do you ever watch Minecraft videos on YouTube?
No, my friend does.
Well, you'll have to look up on YouTube Amy Lee33. That's her channel, and she's does these amazing Minecraft videos where she focuses on love and peace. She has Amy's Land of Love, and she has many series, and she is amazing.
Thanks.
So
Minecraft.
What? I'm sorry.
I was just playing Minecraft before I came here.
Minecraft rocks.
Are you guys still playing?
Yeah, Giancarlo's waiting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can go. That's okay. I just want to introduce you. Thank you so much, guys. They're waiting. They're somewhere in a Mineplex. I think it's called Mineplex. I don't know. They get skins and they get all these things. Probably all the stuff that you know. Well, I might need some pointers because it's funny how you said that you can talk to Ivy and Orion for a long time. My kids are the same way, and they love to talk, especially Gabby, about Minecraft. Like, she could just talk for 2 hours about Minecraft and tell you everything and how they put things together and how they make different stones. And I don't know, I don't want to say the wrong thing. But it's a fascinating game, but the adults and the grandparents in their life sometimes will say, I just don't get it. What are you doing on there? I just don't get it. And I think it's amazing.
It is an awesome game. It's great. It is fun for everyone, of all ages. There's no age limit on Minecraft.
Amy's teaching me how to play.
Yeah.
It's really funny too. We're gonna actually record when I play a game with her for her channel. But seriously, it's Amy Lee33. You'll have to check out her YouTube channel.
I'm gonna check that out
because her series are amazing. She's a character. She's Amy Lee33, and there's a whole huge world of Minecraft YouTubers that the kids can learn so much from. So Amy is obviously my favorite.
Thanks.
But I love, that's part of what brought us together, though, is because what she promotes through the game is she's known as like the hippie, peace and love, and all the kids just love her. And what some of her sayings are, hug a tree for Amy Lee, and she has an enormous following of these amazing, amazing kids who learn so much, and she inspires so many people. So she kind of inspires the younger ones. And for me, I try to...
We share fans, don't we? Like the little girls love me and the mothers love you. Like a few times that's happened.
It's pretty awesome.
It's fun.
Yeah, so...
I'm going to have to look it up because I think they would be happy if I took a little bit more interest in that because it just means so much to them. And, I'm trying to learn. They try to tell me they play in creative or survival, and but they're very mindful in Minecraft. So, like, they're playing Mineplex, and I think people are saying stuff on the, on the screen, but they're like, Mommy, we're not reading it. We're not reading what they talk about, and we're just doing our thing. And they don't really like to do anything that's aggressive or violent, so they build very beautiful things. But they talk about it. They say, I'm packing, and I'm getting ready, and everybody has to hop in bed and go to sleep. I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
They're trying to get me to play, and they said, Mommy, it's more than just putting down little boxes and stuff. But they really learn so much. They do a lot of math. I hear them, especially because they play as a team. They divide things that they find, and they multiply stuff, and I've never taught them that stuff. So, I mean, they expand amazingly through that game. So I'm so excited to look at your videos. I think it'll be really good timing for them because they need an inspiration, on that game in that way.
Yeah, they will love watching her, and it'll introduce them to so many other like fun things in the game and so forth. I'm going to touch on one thing you said because it really sparked something within me. When I was 15 years old, I used to, a little younger than that, I must have been 12 or 13. I used to get my allowance, and I would walk to the store and buy little 45 record albums for $2 each. I'm like one of those ladies telling back in the day.
Wow.
Back in the day when I was young.
But I remember I would come home, and every Thursday when I'd get those, my mom would come in my room. She'd sit on my floor, and she'd say, okay, play me your new records. And there was never a time that I felt more loved and accepted by my mother is when she took an interest in what I was interested in, ever. Like, I felt so... Because a child's interest is an extension of who they are.
Yeah.
And when a parent judges a child's interest or passion as junk or not good for them, it really
hurts.
It hurts because they don't differentiate. It's an extension of them. So in turn, it's like saying part of your child is junk. And I know most parents aren't looking at it like that, but it hurts, and kids internalize it. And I think it's so important to connect with children in their passions. And that's one of the focuses of my work is bringing as many resources into your child's life to learn and grow from based on their interests. And we don't break life down into subjects like people in school do. However, if we were to, just for explaining, you would see that their interests touch on all of these different subjects based on the resources. So when Devin was interested in Legos, I subscribed to Lego Magazine. He was internally motivated to read and learn about it. I introduced him to a lot of different people that were into it. And so I love that you're going to connect with your girls based on Minecraft because it's just awesome.
Yeah, it's usually something Daddy does because he's the, video game person and, things like that. We connect on so many levels, but that particular game I haven't really, but I do listen to them when they talk about it, but I haven't really played it, so we'll have to maybe share that, be Minecraft virgins together and
right.
sort of see what, we'll be creating like huge, like, unschooling, I don't know, places for kids to hang out and everything like that. It'll be amazing.
Communities.
Right. We'll build it first there as like our 3D models so that we can build it in real life, right? We can manifest it in real life after that. I know, it's pretty cool. Their dad does the games, and he does like 3D animation and modeling and things like that. So they usually kind of, share that. But my kids taught me a really interesting thing, in the past, I did sometimes look down because they learn through play-based learning. So they have so many toys. I mean, and I don't think they have too many toys. I think they have just the right amount for what they need for what they're doing. Some people think that our kids have a lot of toys, but they're not toys to them. I mean, even if I would see stuff on the floor, the kids won't even let me say that it's messy or that there's a mess because they explain to me, Mom, come look, you don't understand. This is not a mess. This is a story. This is a land. This is a creation. This is what we did with these toys when we were playing with them, and you can't move it because we're in the middle of a story. And, my husband and I have just sort of come to a level of acceptance where we'll step over stories to get to the bedroom or to step in the bathroom, or the whole hallway will be taken up with toys, and we don't say anything about it because we know that they're in the middle of something and that they're going to pick up tomorrow right where they left off. So we will hobble over stuff just to leave it like that.
I love that. I love hearing that you're respecting your child's needs just as much as your own, because many of us grew up in such a way, and a lot of parents today, their need for a clean house comes before a child's need to use their home as a workshop. A lot of people look at their homes like museums, like a museum of their things. And the way that I look at our home is that it's a workshop for our interests. So it's a very different intention in the use of our home. And I'm sure you can appreciate, and you do the same thing, that I want it to be a place where the kids can create, and that it's theirs too. It's not just my needs for the house to be a certain way. It's theirs too.
Yeah, it's a whole new world. We'll have to start singing that from Aladdin.
I know. Actually, I used to have that song on my blog. Like when you'd load the blog, that song would play.
Did you?
Yep.
Did you really? Oh my God. I don't know
why
I just heard that song, but I agree. Well, it's been so wonderful visiting with you guys. I kind of feel like I could talk for hours. There's probably so many things that we could talk about and bring up. And I had just here like 3 pages of notes just from the book, but I think we touched on a lot of stuff, and I just really, really enjoyed our time together. Maybe it'll be the first of a few videos that we can do. And I'm so happy for you guys that you found each other. And oh my God, when you were holding her on the airplane and just, I can't imagine what that felt like, because I've never really been held through my fear. And I recognized it because I do that for my girls, and they come up to me, and that's how we created what we do for our company, which is my kids would say Mom, they would come up to me and say, Mom, I need a Prana Boost. And that's exactly what you were doing with her. You were Prana boosting. You were boosting her energy. And they don't want me to judge it. They don't want me to comment. And they definitely don't want me to fix it. They just want to know that I can hold them through it until they get to the other side of it. And it's almost unheard of. I mean, I really don't see it. So when I saw it and I recognized it, right away it touched my heart. So
that's so awesome. Thank you. It seems like kids really get it. Like a lot of the comments we got on that video were children. They know this instinctually. A lot of them haven't been conditioned to see that as strange. They see it as loving, and we all need to be mothered. Mothering is so essential for not just our kids, but for each other as women, to mother each other and connect with each other and to be there to listen. I told Amy that I didn't want to rob her of that life experience, of her fear and pain, because it's such an essential thing to feel for personal growth. I didn't need to be a hero. I needed to be there for her so she could do it herself and own that. And that's, I think, what happened. You were so proud of yourself, and I'm so proud of you.
That's awesome.
Well, you did it. You did it. And you guys, you said you're coming out here in LA?
In a couple days, actually.
Yeah.
So we get to do it all over again.
Yeah, flying again.
Yeah. I don't think we'll be recording this one.
No.
Probably not. But it's you don't become cured overnight of a phobia, but I think it'll be
so nervous.
Yeah.
But
the more we are together, the more I know how to help you, and what you are responsive to and what you need.
No one else could have done it the way you did it. It's beautiful.
Oh, you're beautiful.
You are.
I love you.
Oh, well, thank you, girls. I'm going to say namaste to both of you.
Namaste to you, too. Thank you so much for having us on. It's been a pleasure. If anybody wants to learn more about radical unschooling or peaceful parenting, you can check out my website, daynamartin.com, DaynaMartin. We have a YouTube channel. It's a reality vlog channel, but we have all kinds of fun stuff on there. Amy and I have a Soul Sister Saturday where we talk about friendships for girls and how to know if it's a healthy friendship and how to nurture friendships and how to find your soul sister. And then we have a Radical Acts of Kindness every Wednesday. We do a video where we went out in the world and showed kindness to people. And there's a bunch of other cool stuff on there, crazy stuff like family challenges and everything. But the intention for the channel is to let people see into the real lives of people living in freedom and partnership. So you can see that it's not that hard. If we can do it, you can do it.
Right, absolutely. And I can attest to that. And I will actually have all of your information listed when we launch the podcast. I'll have all of it on my page so everybody can find all your direct links. I'll get all that from you and make sure that we have all of that. So thank you, guys. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Oh, thank you, too.
Thanks.
Bye.